So hi all. So welcome back. Today we'll be discussing one order framework in detail. So this is in continuation with the yesterday's demo. Okay. So where we saw the course agenda and some overview of SAP CRM technical concepts. And today's topic will be more specifically towards one order framework. Okay. So what is one order framework? Okay. So yesterday I just give you a brief definition, and a utility. Okay. Now today we'll see how it is managed, how it is working in the background technically. Right. So one order framework is a foundation for your CRM technical programming. Okay, it is a foundation because CRM system is specifically designed for handling the customers and the customer transactions with the customers. And these transactions are handled by the one order framework. So this itself is very clear that how important one order framework is in CRM. Okay. So before the user interfaces have come into existence, the main objective of technical person is to do coding in this one order framework only, because there was no other user interface, only GUI. Okay. And all the business transactions in CRM, they use one order model, okay, which has a unified structure. Okay. So what is unified structure? How the data is distributed across these unified structures, and how the screens are dynamically loaded, we are going to see very shortly now. Okay. Now let me log into the system. Okay. The transaction code from which you can launch the business transactions is CRMD underscore order. Okay. CRMD underscore order. It's a very simple transaction code. Okay. From here you can call or you can open any existing business transactions like this. Okay. Then after searching, you can open that in a display mode, or after that if you want to make any changes, you can go into the change mode. Okay. For example, I have opened a document here with the name 111. I can open any document. I can go to the change mode. I think I am already in the change mode. Okay. Then display mode. Right. Or you can altogether create a new lead here. Okay. So creation, display and change, all the three, it becomes maintenance of the complete business transaction is done using the single T code. So creation you can select always from this menu. Okay, create. So in the left hand side it gives you something called business transaction category. Now you should know what is business transaction category. Okay. So business transaction category okay, so business transaction category is something, it is time dependent or process dependent. Okay. We have three different phases. Okay, we have three different functionalities offered by SAP CRM. Okay, starting from the product being available, okay, out of production. Okay, then you will start the marketing, then sales and service, right? So from beginning of the marketing till the service process, there are so many transactions happening in between. Okay, so they are all time dependent, phase dependent. Okay, so these are called transaction categories. So what are the transaction category types we have? We have lead is a transaction category, opportunity is a transaction category, sales order, sales is a transaction category, service confirmations, service contracts, sales contracts, sales orders, okay, return orders, complaints. Okay, these are all transaction categories. Okay, category of a transaction, so which occurs in different phase of a business, right? So these transaction categories are phase dependent. and they are given some technical names like this: PUS 200,111. This is for opportunities. 115 is for sales. Likewise, 108 is for lead. Okay, so they are given some technical names like this, right? So a transaction category can be done in many ways. For example, take a sales transaction category example. Okay, so you can sell your product through internet in a different way, because through internet you will offer cash on delivery option, or immediate PayPal account option, or you can have different terms and conditions delivery conditions or billing conditions. You can have different terms and conditions when you are selling through internet. Okay, and when you can also sell your products in a bulk to a distributor, to a dealer. Okay, so with the distributor and dealer you have different terms and conditions. Okay, the same sales category is now being performed in many ways. Okay, and same thing when I sell it to end consumer, I'll have different terms and conditions. Okay, replacement sales have different terms and conditions. Okay, and exchange, you will exchange one product for other product, so then you have different terms and conditions. Everything is selling, you are selling in all these cases but with different scenarios, different terms and conditions. Okay, so sales can be conducted in many ways, and these ways are called types, transaction types. Not only sales, I just took an example of sales here. So any transaction category you take, lead. So when you are generating lead, when you are conducting a marketing of road shows, you can generate a different type of lead. When you are conducting a marketing of through SMS campaigns, when you get a reply, you will have a different kind of lead. Okay, leads are also different types. Every business transaction category can be conducted in many ways, and each way is called transaction type here. Okay, so why I'm saying transaction category and transaction type means, because here in the creation menu, the left hand side whatever you are seeing is a category, and right hand side whatever you are seeing is a type, transaction type. Okay, now you come back here, take this sales. This sales can be conducted in these many ways. Okay, for example, it can be a sample, it can be a sample sales also, it can be a telephone sales or tele sales, territory. Okay, these are all different types of sales which you can conduct. Service. Okay, service, very service. Is it a confirmation? Okay, or is it a, what is it, request confirmation or inspection confirmation? If you come to a sales contract, is it a group contract or individual contract or value contract, quality contract, what type of contract it is? So these are types, transaction types, and these are transaction categories. Okay, so very general names are given here in CRM system, very general names. It's a transaction. What is transaction means? What? Any transaction which happens between the customer is called transaction. So business transaction. Okay, further these transactions are categorized as transaction categories, and further transaction categories are conducted in many ways called transaction types. Okay, so very general names are given, and all the data belonging to any transaction type here goes to same set of database tables. They are called data sets. Okay, they are called data sets. For example, how this one-order model is designed is, say this day, I'm not able to draw. Okay, so let it be. I'll take another tool. Okay, now I'm just using another tool here. Now these are data sets. Suppose before designing your framework, data sets are designed. Okay, the data sets are designed first. Okay, so this data set is generally used to hold the data of header, administration header data. Administration header data. Okay, so another data set, there it is designed to hold administration item data. Administration item data. Similarly, another data set for partner. Okay, so one please. Okay, so one is for partner, then another is for organization. So data sets are designed first. Okay, first their data sets are designed. Similarly, I can take another for pricing. Okay, I can take another, say this is items, header, partner, organization, pricing. Okay, sales data. Okay, then I can take another for schedule lines. So sample, I'm taking a very less number of objects here. You have so many number of objects. I'll show you where you can find those objects later. So these are data sets. Okay, each data set is associated with a database. Okay, each data set is associated with one database. Database table, I mean, each data set is associated with one database table. Okay, now data sets are called as objects, business transaction sub objects. You can call them as objects for simple. Okay, now after designing all these objects, so what all the data is required for handling a business transaction in general? It can be a sales order, it can be a service order, it can be anything. Okay, first all the data sets were arranged, designed, then we have to design the transaction categories. For example, sales transaction category. Sales transaction category. So what all the data sets are applicable for sales transaction category? Okay, so administration header is applicable. This is applicable. Okay, this is also applicable. Okay, partner is also applicable, right? Pricing is also applicable, right? Like that. Sales is also applicable. Now when I am designing a lead, now I am designing a lead here. Lead. So these are all business will decide, like functional consultants will decide. Now lead requires administration header. Yeah, it is required. Okay, so there is one more data set called lead. Specific to leads, there is one more data set called lead H. Okay, so it requires a lead H. Okay, lead does not have any items, so no item. Lead should have a partner data. Okay, it should have an org data, no pricing, no schedule lines. Okay, so only those data sets which are applicable to that category are assigned, right? Similarly for say opportunity. Opportunity is again another transaction category. This is another transaction category, right? For opportunity, say admin H is required, partner is required, organization is required, right? Pricing is required. Pricing I didn't know. Okay. Sales, sales also not required. So those data sets which are applicable to the transaction category are assigned. Okay, and when you open a transaction type of this category, okay, then in your screen, one order screen, it will determine what all the data sets are assigned. So those data sets are displayed as tabs. Okay, now see here when I am opening a transaction called 111. Now when I open a lead, or I create a lead, anything, okay, system will think, the one order framework will get a request to load a lead, then it will check what all the data sets are assigned. So details data set is assigned, partner data set is assigned, text is assigned, organization is assigned, product is assigned. So these are the data sets assigned. Okay, and you notice here the partner data set is common for all. Okay, so there can be data sets which are common for more than one transaction category. Okay, so I told you every data set is assigned with a database. Okay, now the database associated with this partner type will contain the data of multiple transaction types. Okay, now I'll show you one by one. Here in this partner tab, it is showing the details of a lead, correct? Now when I open opportunity, the number of tabs which have to be determined for opportunity are determined, and those many tabs are displayed here. The data is segregated into several tabs or data sets, you can say, right? Here also you have partners. Here it is showing different number of different partners. Okay, the table associated with the partner is same, and that table stores all the data of a lead, opportunity, sales order, service order, whatever is applicable. It will store the data related to that transaction. Okay, so there are common data sets also. Okay, so this is how one order model is designed. Each and every data set have a name called business transaction sub-objects. Business transaction sub-objects. So if you want to see those sub-objects graphically, okay, there is a report. CRM order read, give 111. I get 4 documents. Okay, there are 4 documents with 111. All of them have ordered image as a common. Only lead has a lead HS common. Only opportunity has opportunity HS data sets. Okay, so for lead and opportunity order ID my item is not there, so only 2 entries are there. Okay, so I'll show you one by one how to handle this. I'm copying. This is the GUID. Yesterday I was talking about GUID, right? So this is the GUID. It's a 16-bit randomly generated number. Okay, here also you can see this is a lead transaction type, this is a transaction number 111, and this is a GUID. GUID will be different for all. Okay, even the transaction number is getting repeated, GUID will be different. So when you copy the GUID, instead of giving transaction number, if you give the GUID here, it will only give you the details of the lead. Okay, so there is an order idiom H data set, lead H, order idiom I, product I, orgman, but there is no pricing. Okay, there is partner data set. There are 7 partners for this lead. Okay, right, now it is showing the data corresponding to the lead. It will extract the data corresponding to this lead from all the database tables associated with the data sets. Okay, Now these are data sets which you are seeing, right, which are showing here as export tables. These are called data sets, or you can call them as objects. Okay, so this is the list of objects you will see, or if you want to see it before itself, there is something called objects to be read. Okay, so here you will see a list of all the objects. These are called business transaction sub objects or data sets. They are all dependent on transaction category. If they are assigned to the transaction category, then they are displayed. Okay, for example, here I have loaded the lead, right? So for lead, only pricing and pricing sales, these are not getting filled up. Now when I opportunity, see what happens. Now I'll take the GOID of opportunity. When I have loaded the opportunity, see there is pricing. Okay, the service OS information is there, pricing information is there, which was not there for lead. Same thing if I open a sales order. If I open a sales order, for example, 500 22 64 or 72, anything. Then it will bring out all the data specific to this sales, all the data sets which are assigned to the sales transaction category. It will show you everything here. So you have information, pricing, organ, scheduler information, okay, partner information, text information. So all of the data which are applicable will be displayed here. Okay, so this is how the design for one order model is done. Okay, so how this one order model is capable of handling all the business transaction is like this, with the help of the data set concept or business transaction sub-object concept, right? Now when you open any document, for example, I'll take here you are seeing some shortcuts, right? Okay, either you can create a business transaction directly like this from the menu, choose the transaction type, or the most frequently working transaction types you can save as, you can save them as shortcuts here. Can you see? At the most 3 shortcuts you can display. Now there is a button here at the last in the toolbar. If you go here and go to the specific, here you can say 3 push buttons you can maintain, and these are the transaction types. So I have maintained sales, telesales, lead and sample order as a shortcut. Okay, let me open a sample order. So this is a sample order. Okay, now every transaction has 2 types of informations: header information and item information. So one thing is clear, right? The data is distributed across several data sets or tabs. Here if you are seeing graphically, you can see them as tabs. And there are 2 types of data: header data as well as item data. Okay, header data is applicable to the whole document. The header data, it is applicable to the whole document. Okay, whereas each and every product which you are placing an order, each and every product which you are ordering in a transaction is called line item. Okay, it is called as line item. Okay, line item, or you can call it as an item for simple reason. Right. When you double click on this line item, it will take you to the item details. Okay, when you double click, it will take you to the item details. Now these are item details: item overview, schedule lines, prices, conditions. So items also have their own partner object, partner data set. It has its own status set. Okay, so apart from being common to all the transaction types, partner is common to header and item also. Okay, then how do you distinguish which record belongs to header and which record belongs to item? The distinguish is done through the GUIDs. Now if you see, header has, every header of a transaction has a GUID, and every ID you are placing, it has its own GUID. Okay, for example, I'll go to a table, CRMD order ADMH. This is the table for header records, header data. Okay, now when I see for this document, there is a GUID for this one. This is called header GUID. Okay, or better example, I'll open another document called 2272, where I have maintained 3 line items. Okay, 2272 has 3 line items. Now it will be more clear. Now for 2272 transaction number, you have one GUID, right, which is at the document level, and each and every item, each and every product you are placing an order, okay, it will be stored in a order ADMI. Every line item you enter will have a GUID for that. Okay, you see, if you want to know how many items are being ordered in a transaction, you have to give the header GUID here, because every item is associated with a header. Because how do you know if the same product is being ordered in different transaction numbers? How do you know in which transaction how much quantity is ordered and what is the character of this product in that particular transaction? So every item is associated with a header. Okay, every item, because already my table have a record for every line item. So every line item is associated with its own header. Okay, so this is how you identify which item belongs to which transaction, right? So here 3 item GUIDs are there, right? Here I just want to show you that every line item you are entering in a transaction will have its own existence in the order ADMI table. Okay, so this is item table, right? So similarly, if you go to partners at the header level have 5 records, and partner at the item level has 5 or 6. It has its own data. Okay, so partner table will store the data of both the header as well as item, and also of different transactions, because they are common. Partner was common to all transactions, correct? So this is how the data is organized. Okay, this is item data and this is header data. So this is just to show you how the layout, how to interact with this layout here, how many types of data you find, and how the layout looks like, right? Now how do you create a business transaction? So if you want to create a business transaction, you need who is involved in that business transaction and what is involved in the business transaction and how it is involved. You need these 3 items, right? Okay, when I create any transaction, for example, I am creating a sample order. So on behalf of whom I am creating the sample order? Who is placing an order? Who is the sold to party? Okay, so sold to party is, say, BP underscore Pradeep. He is placing an order for what? For Matt underscore Pradeep. How much quantity? So these are the minimum requirements you need for having a business transaction. Okay, so this is required in case of sales orders. For service orders, you require a different kind of data. So there you will have a sold to party will be the person who is requesting the service, and it can be a spare part or it can be a service, will be a product here. Quantity will be number of hours, I think. Okay, if it is a spare part, quantity will be the multiples of that spare part. If it is a service, it will be a multiple hours. Okay, so pricing will be done accordingly, right? So in this transaction type, so there should be automation, some automation has to be done that it has to pick up the sales area common to these two, but it is not happening, and manually enter here. So actually this should happen automatically. Okay, the moment I enter this information, you will see the pricing here appended after in process. Okay, so pricing is calculated. Now $870 it is calculating. How it is calculating? Pricing information also have to be maintained. So everything whatever you are seeing on the screen, we will create our own test data. I told you, right, techno-functional concept. Okay, so whenever you receive data from any consultant, so you will receive data like this. So this is the test data. Use this as a sold party. Use this as a material. Okay, after you develop a code, you will start testing it, or you can if it is a already developed application, so you will start testing from the beginning before writing the code and after writing the code as well. If the data, suppose if the data given by the consultant, functional consultant, is wrong, okay, so the first doubt will go on your code only. Okay, so you will think that code is not working properly and you start debugging. After debugging, maybe several hours or several days, you will find that some checkbox in the configuration is missing, or some data is not maintained properly, right? So that is the reason I always feel that there is a need to know some basic functional concept, like what is sold to party and what kind of data is maintained. So if the pricing is not coming, so what might be the reason? Okay, if the item category is not getting determined, what might be the reason? Right? The partners are not properly fetching here correctly, so what might be the reason? Before debugging, you should go and check certain validations. You have to do certain validations of the data. So that data anyhow we are going to discuss in the regular sessions. Okay? So we will create our own data like this, and after creating the data, we will create transactions, and after creating transactions, we'll start the program. Okay, so here I just created a transaction. Here it is showing the $870. Okay, how this $870 is calculated is, you will get two records here. Actual price is $300. Okay, but there is a discount given is $10 per piece. Okay, so 300 into 3 will be 900. 10 into 3 will be 30. So 900 minus 30 will be $870. This is how it has calculated. And where it is maintained? It is maintained in your pricing condition master data or your product master data. I'll show you. See, for Pradeep and for IDES trading company, I am maintaining it as $300. This is picked up. If the same Pradeep is ordering from different organization, it will be different. Okay, but in my case, it is $300 minus $10, $270 for each piece. Okay, so this is how it was determining. Right, I'll save this document. What are the three errors? Sales assistant. I'm not sure how this business agreement must be maintained, but I can save it. I can save the document with errors. Okay, 2278. This is the document number it has. Now, if you want to see technically, see, you will receive this kind of data. Okay, use this transaction for testing the application. Okay, Now, how do you extract, how do you see technically what is the information in this document, and how do you change the data in the document, okay, and how do you put it back to the database? So this is what we are technically going to do. Okay. After creating our own data, so I have already used this tool here, test program. Now if I say 78, which is recently created, right, 500 2278, execute. Now it will bring the entire data of your 2278. Okay, now if you go to the partners, it will show you BP Pradeep, BP Pradeep, BP EMP, BP EMP. Okay, here it is showing 12 entries because in the header level you have 6 records, okay, and at the item level also you have 6 records. Okay, there are 6 records in the header as well as item. Why item also have partners? Because say there is a scenario, you are placing an order, you are the sold party. Okay, so I am placing an order on behalf of my company, but when I am placing an order, okay, the products should not come to my address, because I am a sales office assistant. Okay, I'll be sitting at some location at some branch. Okay, I need some raw material from my vendor, I'll place an order. So I want that some of the raw materials which I have placed an order for should go to certain location, certain plant, and the bill for this should go to certain other office. Okay, so I can maintain different partners. So, okay, I am the sold party. Okay, so shipped party will be someone else will be shipping this. Okay, someone else will be making the payment for this particular product 1. Okay, someone else will be receiving the bill. So I can have different partner functions here. Second product, I have ordered second product also. Second product should go to some other location, the bill should go to someone else. Okay, and take the scenario of gifting. For example, you are making a you are buying some product and you want to gift it online. So you will be the sold party, you will be the shipped party, everything you will be the one at the header level, but at the item level, if you want to gift it to a friend, your friend's address will be the shipped party. Okay, a simple example, understanding example I am just saying. Okay, so that is the reason you have partners at the header level as well as item level. Same thing with other data sets also. Okay, header will have a different status, items also will have a different status. Why? Okay, when you have placed an order, okay, for example online, taken online, you have ordered for 10 products, 10 of them are readily available, sorry 10 products, 5 of them are readily available and 5 are waiting. So these 5 will be shipped first, the status of the 5 items will change to shipped. Okay, and for the other 5 it will be in process. So item level status will also be different. When all the statuses go to shipped or completed, then header status goes to completed. Right, so header also, item also has status, common information. Okay, now here you are seeing 16 records. Okay, 12 records, 6 are coming from the header and 6 are coming from the item. Right, so how do you distinguish which one is belonging to header and which one is belonging to the item? Okay, you will distinguish with the GUIDs, or there is one more important parameter. Okay, we'll discuss that later. Okay, that is the differentiating criteria. Okay, so you will use this CRM order read report as a tool to see the data graphically, how it is organized. Correct. This is just a tool which helps you to see how the data is organized into different data sets or objects. But we also have a function module with the same name, which is generally used to read the data from the transactions. This function module has to be used in your coding. This is generally used for coding purpose. Okay, so you cannot test it because it won't allow you to add any entry here. You cannot test it. Okay, now I have written some programs. I have written some programs here for using CRM order read. Okay, for example, I got a requirement to find out who is the shipped party of a certain business transaction. I'm just showing you the utility of this one. I'm just showing you how you use the CRM order reader function module. This is how I am giving a call to the function module CRM order read. To this I am giving the GUID of the header. Okay, I am giving the GUID of the header to this document. GUID of the document to the function module, and I am also giving some updates to be required, because if you don't give this, the system will fetch the whole data. For example, see here. So when I am executing it like this, so complete data of the document will be extracted here, which is not desirable every time, correct? Because when I'm looking for specific information, I only need specific information. So unnecessarily there will be a load on the system to bring all the data. So you are already an option to filter what data you want. I want only partner data. So only partner data will be fetched along with your administration header and item. These are mandatory. Mandatory if you are giving the header information. See, rest are all blank here. Right? Only partner information is fetched. So that is what objects to be read here. Okay. That is the reason I am giving objects to be read. These objects I want. Okay. Then only specified items here. I'm not specifying any items. When I say only specified items, only the item information will be bringing to. Okay. Only item information is brought here. Earlier it was showing 12 records, right? Now it is showing only 6 records. Why? All the item information is ignored, because I'm not passing any item details here. I am saying the specified items, but I'm not specifying any item GUID. So there will be no GUID with zeros. It will bring only the header data. So in this program, my intention is only to bring organization data and partner data of header. Okay. Now see the output, how it looks like. So for writing this program, we'll take the help of this report, CRM model report. This is just a, no, it is not just a tool to see the data graphically. It is also, helpful in order to write conditions. For example, I want to write conditions that I want only the certain shift party. Okay. There are 6 partners coming up. From these, what is the shift party? How do you know? How do you extract only one record? Okay. How do you extract one record? Shift party has a number 20002. So on which field you have to write the condition in order to extract that? So that you will see here, right? If I select the second record, it will show me that, okay, this is a field name on which you have to put this condition in order to extract the shift party. So this is not just helps you to see the data graphically, but also in writing the programs. Okay. Now my report, if I activate and execute, what is the transaction number? Okay, 2278. Execute. Okay, the sales area is IDES Trading Company and distribution channel is 10, and the shift party is BP Pradeep. Correct. It's correct here. The sales organization is, sorry, not this one, IDES Trading Company, distribution channel is 10. Okay. And what is the partner ship to party here? The ship to party is BP Pradeep. Okay. So this way you can extract any data you want, any information you want. I just showed you example on partner. You can extract status. You can extract text. You can extract shipping, pricing conditions, anything, any data you can extract. Okay. So this is about reading the data. Okay. So I can not only read the data, but I can also change the data. There will be a requirement. For example, the functional consultant will give you a list of documents. Say there will be some, 10,000 or 1 lakh records are there, 1 lakh transactions, or the client might ask me to find out the list of all the sales orders, okay, whose contract is going to end next month. Okay, he'll ask me that bring out all the dates information is not here, so bring out all the documents, okay, whose contract or whose end date is next month, last working day, right? So I have to write a program. I have to write a program to find out all the transactions, maybe of certain type. Maybe he will ask me all the sample orders which are going to be expired next month, so that he can take some action on that. Okay, so I'll take that. I'll take a report. I'll generate a report. I'll find out all the transactions. So the required information I need from that is, maybe he wants to send some reminders, okay, or he wants to extend the date of certain chosen records. Okay, he wants to extend the date, means what, I have to find out and then I have to extend the date of few chosen records, means what, I have to access the data as well as I have a requirement to modify the data, correct? So how do you modify the data? So modification also we can do through programming. So you cannot, after identifying, say you have identified 50,000 records, and if you give the list to the functional consultant, he has to sit and open each and every document and go to the data and change. It's a very time consuming process, right? So you can write a simple program. That program will do, you just run a bad job, okay, background job, it will identify, it will fix everything, correct? So a lot of effort is reduced. So how do you change the data? Say for example, I'll go to the change display mode, because if I am in the change mode, the program will not be able to change the data. See the date here, or see the external reference is here, which is blank, correct? So I have written some programs which will change the data of a business transaction. And date I am giving as June. I'll give tomorrow's date, 23. I'm adding two values, number sold and date sold, two fields I'm changing here. So what is that name, you'll understand very shortly. Now see, if I run this program, I have this is also a utility program. If I run this program, it will ask me which transaction you want to change. About to separate, right? Now if I execute this and enter, It's done, it's over. I'm not giving any message, but it's over. If I reopen this doc, see there is no data, right? 23 is not there, this data is not there. If I go out and reopen this document, you'll see the change. So these concepts I'm going to share will be very generical discussions, okay, and you can implement it with any example. One example I told you is identify all the orders which are going to expire next month and change few of them which are maintained in some custom table, or maybe the criteria might be the sold to party so and so. For the document, extend it. Okay, so there is maybe some condition. You can change the data in that way, right? So now it is changed to 23 and there is a text have come sample change. Okay, so with the execution of the program I was able to change the document information also. Okay, so this way you can change data belonging to not only one object, it all different objects, different data you can change. Okay, you can change any data you want. Okay, so upon changing, my client also has certain conditions. Okay, you cannot change any data as you wish. Okay, there are certain business guidelines, there are certain business conditions. For example, take this reference date. Okay, so when a reference date is changed, okay, when a reference date is changed, you want to put some condition, or when certain quantity or something else is there, you want to put some other condition. How it is done? For example, if I say reference date as 30, the system should not accept. Okay, the system should not accept the reference date as 30. Okay, this is coming as, these are coming from the what do you say, customization. But I can write a program, I can write a baddie automation. This is an automation, right? Something happens on the screen, then and there you have to do some validation. These validations are done through baddies. Okay, so you can also identify, first thing is how do you identify which baddie is a suitable one. So we have so many techniques involved in this one order framework programming. Okay, so many techniques are involved. I'm not sure why that is not happening. I'll just debug and find out why the error message is not shown. Oh, we are not in the creation mode. That is the reason it is not showing any error. Okay, now you will see error. Now you will see there are some errors showing up here. Okay, this error is I am raising this error. Okay, the reference date is falling 2 days beyond today. Okay, here the customization saying that this is in future, but I am saying that it is falling beyond 2 days from today, so that the user can rectify this. Okay, he can rectify this and he can make changes. So where exactly I am showing the messages, if we go to SE91, I have already created some messages. right? The quantity this, oh, no, not this one, right? The reference date is falling 2 days beyond today. This ampersand is nothing but the user entered date, which you can manipulate and show here. Okay, I'm showing this as an error message. Okay, I'm showing this as error message. If you want to see, I'm showing this as message E, as error message. Okay, even error. So this is how you can validate the business transactions. Validate, or you can say automate. You can also default some values, okay, automatically using the baddies. The most important thing is identifying the baddie. So there are certain techniques involved in our course which will help you to identify the baddies. Otherwise you will end up doing the classical way of finding baddies, like you will put a breakpoint in CL exit handler. Okay, you'll keep breakpoint in CL exit handler, you will find a list of baddies and go inside each and every baddie, analyze which one is the correct one, right? Or you do a trace. Trace also will give you a list of baddies, so from that you have to identify what parameters each and every baddie has and which one is the correct one. Okay, so there we have classical techniques also, but they are time consuming. Okay, that is about baddies, one order model. Okay, and coming to your web UI. Okay, web UI also we are going to do in-depth development, a very in-depth development of web UIs we are going to do. I'll show you what kind of development generally we do here. Okay, so this is a web UI application I have created. This is just one example. If I execute this, I have created a search view and result view. I created a search view and result view. So whenever I search for PHTA transaction type and created by Kalyan, I'll get a list of all the documents. So this is a list of documents I have created. Okay, it's just a sample example I am saying. So likewise, we'll create so many applications which will help you to visit each and every tool, each and every tool available in the web UI. Like in the runtime repository, you have so many options, right? Assigning all these things, okay, making your application exposed to other applications, using other applications inside this application. Okay, I think almost we'll touch every topic here. Here we have used the interface. Now we have added interface also. We have used it also. Every topic we have covered here. Even the navigation also we have done. View sets. Okay, Windows model. Almost we have done changes in everywhere. Okay. We have done event handling. If you want to see how the sample coding looks like, so this is a sample coding we have done. Okay, so it seems very complex at this point of time. If you see the coding here, this is typecasting, ME, arrow mark, type context, arrow mark, some name, arrow, collection wrapper, and finally a method. So there is a long chain of object-oriented variables here. At this point of time, it looks very complex, but the way we are going to discuss the programming, the Boolean programming model, will make it very very simple. Okay, we have a comparative approach of learning Boole. Okay. Any doubts, anyone? If you want to ask any doubts, and I'm just going to unmute all of you. Yeah, you're all on unmuted.
Unmuted.
I'll just come for each and every one. I'll read out your names.
For each and everyone. I'll read out your names.
Raja, Ayappa Raja, right? Raja, any doubts from your side?
Raju, any doubts from your side?
Yes, Kalyan. See,
Yeah,
in
please.
general, what we will be having is the business partner and the product. I mean, as a developer, most of the time we will be dealing only with these two, or will there be anything else we will be handling? I mean,
That is the
in
most
functional
common data. Most common data you will get for every development.
right. I mean, any other stuff that we will handle in general, I'm asking, because business partner and
business partner and products are very simple to handle. Other things you have are pricing conditions, customizations, organization data. So these are very sensitive. So it's not advisable for us to deal with them.
okay, but for us, what we need to know is about the business partner and the products. That's all.
Products, yes, yes.
And also another question here, the organization management. I mean, I haven't seen that we are using it anywhere. I'm just curious to know like where it is going to be mainly used.
Organization management is, for example, while creating a business transaction, I have entered some org information. Okay, so that is a pre-existing org. We are not going to create our own organization, because creating organization, assigning roles, positions, and all is a very complex thing. So we'll use existing orgs. I have used IDES CRM training company as org unit.
Okay, I mean, my question is, let's say, in case of workflow or in HR modules, okay, the organization management, I'm just saying, okay, like he belongs to this group. I mean, it is generally mainly for the approval process, right?
Yeah, maybe you are relating it to workflows, but we will discuss organization data management, organization assignment when we are looking into business roles, because business role assignment has also done at the org unit level. So that time we'll see.
Okay, here also, I mean, I'm just curious, sorry. We'll be having this approval process and other things also will be here, or it is for a different purpose altogether?
So this is just for assigning the business roles. How do you assign role to a user? Yeah, at the org unit level.
Oh, okay, some kind of authorization, right? Okay,
Yes.
okay, got it. Yeah, sure. And yeah, I'm fine actually. Yeah, good.
Okay. I'll
Yeah,
go
thank
to
you.
next. I'll go to Leonard. Leonard, any queries from your side? I think you're on self mute. Hello? Hello? Can you hear me? I think I'm fine, thank you. Okay. Next, I'll go to Nadeem. Yeah, Nadeem.
I'm muted. Yeah, nothing.
Any queries from your side?
Any queries from your side?
I think you are using speakers,
I think you
so
are using
my
speaker,
voice is
so my
echo.
voice is echo.
Can you speak?
Can you speak?
Okay, I think he's not at his place.
He's not at his place.
And finally, Sujata, are you there? You are self-muted. Hello. You unmute yourself and then speak. Sujata, are you there? Hello. you have no, put yourself on mute, self mute. If you unmute, then only you'll be able to speak. Okay, maybe she's also not at her place. Fine. So no, this is a one order model I wanted to show you. Okay. So very soon, no, we will see each other, in our regular sessions. Okay. That means okay. Right. And thank you so much for your time, for attending my demo sessions yesterday and today. Thank you all. Okay, I'm stopping here.
Yeah, Kalyan.